maybe.
I have kind of two questions, but I don't want to take up any other person's time. I noticed in one of the scenes in the fog, you had on a pretty big ring on your finger, and I was looking at it, and I saw you were wearing it right now. Is that the same one that you're wearing in the film?
This is a duplicate because when, oh, did I lose my,
Oh.
did we lose it? Okay, this is a duplicate. Is yours working? Yeah.
Because when we were doing Swamp Thing, I went into the ocean and came out and realized a few minutes later that it was gone. And the crew, they were so wonderful. The crew went to the naval base that was someplace close by and got a metal detector. After a couple of days, they presented me with this leaden lump that was, you know, totally black, and I couldn't even recognize it, but it was my ring. I got it fixed up, and then when I was pregnant with Cody in 1984, I lost it again.
And I thought it had gone down the toilet. Is yours working? Did we just, are we out of time? Is that what you're trying to tell us?
The batteries are assigned.
Oh, it's the batteries, okay. I thought I had lost it again. So I contacted the jeweler, and he made me another one. The original ring was split open, which is how it came off. This one he's closed up. I've worn it ever since. I bought it for myself in 1976 with Michael Malone, that boyfriend. And I just always loved it. And then, don't you know, about 10 years after I lost it, I found that one again. Who knows where it was. And so now, whenever I do a film, I've got a second ring for my stunt woman. So that worked.
If that's okay. Yeah. Okay.
Go ahead.
Well, I was also wondering, in this movie or in any other movie, there's an instance that stands out. I know sometimes actresses kind of disagree with the actions of their character when they're being chased, or when they're, you know how characters in horror movies kind of make stupid decisions. Was there ever a moment like that in this movie?
You know, the only time, although I'm going to answer it in two ways, there was one time on set when right after the driftwood burns, and I put it out with the fire extinguisher, when we got ready to do the next scene, and John said, "Okay, sit down and we'll get started." And I said, "John, I don't think she'd sit down. I mean, she's really, you know, this is," and he said, "Okay, stand up and we'll get started." So that was the only, but watching it just now, and I just saw the last few minutes, I thought to myself, you know what? That must have been John telling me to slow it down, and because I think now if I were doing it, there was a moment when I might have gone like that instead of like that, you know? So, but again, it comes back to the question about what do you look for in a script, and I look for logic and reality, and, you know, come on. It's not logical to go into the room where you know the bad guys are going to be, and, you know, blah, blah, blah. So I would have thought that. Anyone else? Yeah.
I was just wondering if you could tell us a little bit about your role as Catwoman in Batman.
Yes, I got a call from my voiceover agents. In those days, we went to our agency's office they had a booth to record the audition. And they said, you know, we've got an audition for you for Catwoman. I had never really seen Batman. I hadn't seen any of the films, and I hadn't watched the TV series. I knew Eartha Kitt's voice a little because I grew up listening to her sing Uskadar on an Armenian record that my grandparents had. So I didn't have any preconceived ideas about her, and I went in, and it was a about a 30-second audition, maybe it was 6 lines or whatever, and I just said them the way I thought Catwoman would say them, I guess. And about a month later, they called and they said, "Well, they've hired you to do Catwoman," and I love doing it. I attribute a great deal of it to Andrea Romano, who was our booth director, because we were just actors sitting in a row with the dialogue in front of us. We didn't have any storyboards or anything. And so I remember very clearly one time when there was a scene where Catwoman is running across a roof and she jumps down onto the street. And I ran across the roof and I jumped down onto the street, and Andrea said, "Adrienne, the roof is about 20 stories higher than the one you just jumped off of." And so I ran across the roof and I landed really much bigger. But she sort of guided us because she was seeing what the audience would be seeing, and we were just seeing the words. It was a fun job to do. I was a fan of, oh my God, my mind, Ephraim Zimbalist Jr., because I did see 77 Sunset Strip. I think that's the one he did. Does anybody know Ephraim Zimbalist? Yes, yeah. And so, and we never knew when we got to the set who was going to be guest starring, whether it was, Mark Hamill, of course, wasn't just a guest star, but, we never knew who we were going to be working with, and that was great fun. So but people ask me what was my favorite episode and everything. I never watched the show. In fact, I remember the first time watching it, and Selena Kyle was blonde. And I thought, oh, I didn't expect that. I just figured if Catwoman was dark, she'd be dark. I thought they did an incredible, the visuals were just incredible, the Art Deco. I was really blown away by that, but I didn't watch a lot of it. And I really only got to know Kevin and Johnny Glover and Diane and the rest of the cast maybe 10, 20 years after, when we started doing the comic conventions. And then we became great friends. Because when we were doing it, it wasn't like doing a movie where you're sitting around the set with the other actors all day long. We just show up, say our lines, say goodbye to everybody, and leave. There wasn't a lot of socialization. But great group of people to work with. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, first off, I have a message from my mother. She wanted me to tell you that she really loved you as Maud's daughter.
Thank you. Thank you.
That she thinks you're fantastic. But my favorite thing about your performance in this movie is your on-air voice. And I love the way you go from your regular speaking voice to the on-air voice and just slip in and out of that voice so easily. But I was wondering if that voice, was that your idea to have that calm, smooth, sultry voice, whether that was John Carpenter's idea? And I was wondering if you had based that on an actual DJ or anything?
It was my idea, but I ripped off a woman named Allison Steele, who had a radio show on WNEW in New York. I believe she was called The Nightbird. Yep. And this is Allison Steele. Now I don't remember, but that's what she sounded like to me. This is Allison Steele, your Nightbird, or whatever. And so I had that in my mind when I came up with Stevie Wayne. Yes.
I was just wondering if you stay in touch with anyone in the cast.
Oh, yes. Yeah, well, I'm on my way to see Tommy tomorrow.
Oh,
Tommy
really?
Atkins lives in Pittsburgh. Oh, well, he lives in Benicia. And I called and I said, listen, I'm 2 hours away. What are you doing tomorrow night? can we go have dinner? And so I'm going to go see Tommy tomorrow night and spend the night with him and his wife. And Nancy Loomis, Nancy and Tommy Wallace, who was the art director, and he played one of the ghosts. And I think he also helped John as an editor. And Tommy went on to direct Season of the Witch, Halloween 3.
Yeah.
Tommy and Nancy stood up for us when we got married. They were John's closest friends, and I met them through John. And we've remained close friends ever since. I don't see them as often. Always try and see them when we end up at a con together. But Tommy Wallace lives up in Northern California now. And I haven't seen Jamie for a long time. And I didn't, well, and Hal, of course, has passed. I didn't really get to know Hal on this film. We didn't have any scenes together. We probably met after the fact at the premiere or something like that. But so I really got to know him during Creepshow.
That's right.
But this film, especially, and Escape from New York, John used all the same people, you know.
I was going to say, it felt like a friend group.
Yes. And seeing all their names. In fact, I was sitting there thinking, you know, I should try and organize something with all these people. I saw a lot of them when John got his Hollywood Walk of Fame star just a month or two ago. Kurt was there, Larry Franco, who was his producer and his AD. Of course, Deborah's passed, but yeah, we were all very close. And many of them have gone on to great success. Larry Franco, I think, produced major, I can't remember which ones they were, but huge, you know, like Superman or whatever they were. Barry Bernardi, who was our location manager, and I don't know what else Barry did on this film, but he had been with John for a while. Went on, I think he runs the company for Adam Sandler, and so many of the crew went on to great success. Yeah.
Hey, thank you. So one of the questions I had was, there's that awesome shot of you walking down that staircase towards the lighthouse, and I've always loved that shot. What was it like working in that kind of area, I guess, is one of the questions I have.
It is, it's a part of the country that is, I think, one of the most incredibly beautiful parts of the country that I've ever seen. And you can make that trip down to the lighthouse if the winds are less than 45 miles per hour. It's run by the National Park Service. And so when we showed up, if it was too windy, we weren't allowed to do it. I think someone said there's like 345 stairs or something. Wasn't too hard for me, even though I was in 3-inch platform boots or whatever. But the poor camera operator, and you know, they had to carry that thing down those stairs.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
And we may have, I don't think we did it in increments, but I did it, you know. I'm glad that I was that young and could do it at that time. If it was now, I don't know if I could make it back up, but if you ever get a chance to go, it's just 26 miles from the Golden Gate Bridge. It's just, you know, it's where Sir Francis Drake first landed. So Drake's Bay, Drake's Beach, and it's the Point Reyes National Seashore, and the town of Point Reyes has hardly changed at all. And Inverness, it's all pretty much like it was that many years ago. It's a beautiful part of the country.
That's awesome. That shots like that really made the movie
It really did, didn't it? I've always said that the location was as much a character in the film and as important to the success of the film as we all were, you know.
Yeah,
That drive. Oh.
Yeah, you really feel like Antonio Bay is a real place. And
Yeah.
It's just shot really well, and I was curious about that. And the other question I had was just, you're almost working in isolation for most of the film, like where you're alone compared to the rest of the cast. You know, the rest of the cast has quite a bit of interaction with each other. So how was that for you, like having to kind of work separate from everybody else most of the time?
You know, at the time, I don't think I thought much about it. It wasn't until after, and people started saying, well, you know, you don't act with anybody else except Ty Mitchell, the little boy, that I thought, oh, okay. I had the microphone, and I was reaching out to people, so it was the only thing that was odd was this very last scene. In those days, way before CGI, we didn't have any way of evacuating the fog from a scene. John only could, you know, the fog juice, we called it. It was horrible stuff. It was kerosene and oil, and it just smelled terrible and felt terrible. But they could just blow it in with, you know, whatever, the big billows or something. And so we got to the very last scene where Father Malone has grabbed onto, or the ghost has grabbed onto the gold, and everybody disappears, and all of a sudden I'm alone, and the ghost has disappeared, and the fog goes out. John said to me, we have to film this, you have to act this in reverse, and because we can only push the fog in. I still don't understand it. You probably do. I don't understand it. I wrote about it, but I still don't understand it. And he said, and then we will develop the film upside down or backwards or over easy or something. And he said, just be careful. So I had to think of the beats in reverse, you know, instead of being, let me see if I can think of it. Instead of being terrified and then relieved, I'm relieved and then terrified. I guess, I think that's the way it works. And so John just said to me, the only thing you have to be careful of is try not to blink, because if you blink, when we do this, whatever we do to the film, it's going to look weird. It's going to look strange. So, but. Yeah, it didn't, you know, I had the fog to play off of, and the people in my listening audience to play off of, and then Chuck Cyphers, who was the weatherman, you know, to play off of, so it didn't seem odd to me.
But you did an excellent job, though.
Thank you very much.
Shooting that
I had a great director.
That's great.
Thank you.
We have time for one more question, everybody. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. I don't know if you've heard, but Sumerian Comics actually made a 4-issue follow-up to The Fog, taking place 42 years after the events of the film. I was just wondering, have you ever had the chance to read it, or did you provide any, or did Sumerian Comics ever ask you for any input onto it or anything in that vein?
You know, this is the first I've ever heard of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, did they call it, what did they call it?
It is called The Fog, but like I said, it takes place in the year 2022, 42 years after the events of the film.
Oh, interesting. What happens?
I'm actually kind of I was going week by week reviewing each issue. I'm currently halfway through right now, so
okay.
Right. I know that John Carpenter's minor character of Bennett, he actually dates Stevie Wayne during the first half of the series. I know that's very late.
Wow.
Yeah. So art imitating life, I guess.
And are you finding it online, or is it an actual?
It is
it's a comic.
Yeah, it is available in print. It came out last year, so.
I have to look for that.
Yeah,
I
so.
have to look for that. I wonder if John knows about it. I guess he does. He must have given permission.
Maybe.
Who knows?
It does have a few characters from the film, but it does have some new characters as well. And I know Stevie's son Andrew becomes a bit more prominent because, after all, he was just a child in the film.
Oh, for heaven's sake! Well, thank you for telling me.
Yeah, glad I could recommend it to you.
You have a reading assignment.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone, for being here. Thank you. Thank you.
One more time. Adrienne Barbeau.